Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is a topic that I do every once in a while, and I think I've kind of used some of the same basic structure as I'm going to use in this reading before as well too, in as much as the beginning of the reading will be using the Doors of Wisdom spread that Kim Krans actually suggests in the book that goes with her Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. And that will set the scene. But it's looking at what are you alchemizing now, and that's effectively what that spread talks about. It starts with the starting or the precipitating energy, which is represented here to help you with the choice. Then it looks at the sort of first steps, what sort of comes out, or first fortune. It looks at what you might resist during the alchemizing, and it looks at what comes out of it that might be surprising or not. And so we'll look at that to sort of set the scene. So under this are the three other cards. They're intuitively chosen. I don't know what they are yet, but that will show us what you are alchemizing and where you are kind of up to and what you can expect. We'll then use some tarot and some other decks to get some other information as well. So it's a very spiritual reading, this. It is really but it could have very practical applications depending upon how it plays out in your life. And the tarot may show some very practical applications as well. But I probably don't need to say a great deal more about it because it will become obvious as we go through what's going on if you haven't seen one of these. I'm using some of the things that I use in the What Are You Alchemizing Now reading that I offer on my Etsy store privately, but it's different as well because this is tailored to a pick a card where the reading is probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes at the most. But it gives us a nice high level sense. As I say, this is what Spirit has said for each pile is intuitively the starting point. You may get some sense of what that means by the name of the card, but it doesn't really matter that much if you don't. We can talk about that when I'm doing the reading. It's more what is the imagery and the feeling of it and what draws you to it. You can, of course, go to more than one reading if you like. There might be more than one thing you're alchemizing at the moment. But for pile number 1, we have the sap of the moon plant. For pile number 2, we have fog. And for pile number 3, we have Neptune. So when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with sap of the moon plant. And when I look at these 4 cards alchemically, it's a really good starting point. But it's an interesting journey we're looking at here. This has got a lot to do with who you are and who you dream to be and how to be in the dreamlike explorative stage as long as you possibly can, but also what you have to let go of or understand what came before you. And it's almost in the journey of that you find that out. The reason that I'm saying that is the sap of the moon plant is all about the realm of dreams. It's all around what is water, what is fluid, what is changeable. It's an energy of dreams, the mythic, the sort of almost numinous sort of energy. So there's something in your alchemizing at the moment that has to do the dream of you, I think, the dream of who you are, how you fit in, not only within yourself and what you would want to dissolve, clear out and explore, and then what you would be prepared to sort of like then almost set, not necessarily set in stone, but sort of say this is what it is, this is who I am. But there's also a revelation at the end of this that there is a certain amount that you can do for yourself, but there is a certain amount also that you need to understand and either incorporate or gracefully let go of that has to do with your ancestry, your bloodline and all those things. So let me walk through why this is saying this. This is, as I say, the dream. So you're starting at the dream. This may be triggered by a dream or ambition. It might be a career thing you want to do. It might be a spiritual path you want to follow. But it just may also be about self-knowledge, because the first reward of allowing yourself to dream and be in the watery depths of dreams is, in fact, to go through the dissolution process that is also in water. It's like dissolving aspirin in water is kind of a good analogy for it. It is where all the constituent parts of you or your situation are dissolved so that they can become more fully what they are meant to be, translate, be fluid and all that kind of thing. So this looks to me like you are in a process of alchemizing something where you want to have as much freedom of feeling and freedom of experience and exploration as possible. And so that will be afforded to you, at least at the starting point. It's like there's a spiritual understanding here from your spirit team, from the divine or whatever, that you are going through a profound change in who you are and really finding out who you truly are beyond all the kind of programming and concepts you had about yourself that maybe others put on you or circumstance put on you. And so there's something freeing. A good example of this on a very pragmatic level is when we leave a workplace and we don't yet have the financial constraints that make us think, oh, I have to be working again tomorrow. Maybe we've saved some money. We've got a little bit of time to explore. It's that time where you are not defined by a role and you can work out who you are before you then again have to take on a role and take on that kind of more external definition. So the first thing about allowing yourself to dream is being allowed to dissolve everything and go back to first principles. That's really, who are you at your core? What do you really want to do? That makes it very interesting that what you're resisting is coagulation. These literally follow each other in the process. After the dissolution, then the elements that are going to start to form something and become more concrete, more take shape, all come together in coagulation. And so I feel as though there's a side here where you want to stay as long as you can in the free-floating energy of exploration and first principles, sort of like, I keep saying exploration. It's the best term actually for this, around who you are, rather than setting on something else. So again, if you had left a job in a way that you actually was able to support yourself, you want to keep that time open as much as possible to explore what you want to do before you commit to something else. If you just left a relationship and you were dissolving who you were in that relationship so that you can then decide who you want to be and how that goes forward, you don't want to jump into another relationship immediately. So you really are at that stage where you don't want to crystallize whatever this is. Whatever you're changing and alchemizing, you don't want to hurry to do that. But there is going to be a pressure to do it. And one of the things that is going to almost push that is to work out what you are and you aren't compared to, say, your ancestry, your past, and so forth. Because ash is after the Negredo. It's after the thing where everything is burnt out and the ash is what is left. So it is the kind of realm of your ancestors, your bloodline, the things that you were before. So it's sort of saying that it's almost as though this preceded that, and then you have to come back to this and consider this so that you can commit to what you're doing. So I feel almost like we're almost looking at a circle going around, that ash actually preceded this. You have gone through something in your life where you have burnt out something, a job, a relationship, a spiritual path. It's no longer serving you. But you do have to recognize what from that you do take forward and what from that is something that is core to you. But you have the burning out. You're then in the dream. You dissolve the energy, and then you're supposed to work out what that actually means. But where you're here and here is that this bit, it's sort of suggesting that you haven't necessarily considered all of your past. And so it's like you're almost going to be given the okay not to form, to be able to resist for a while until you've considered what you take forward from your past. So it could be a past job and the industry you're in. It could be things from what your family believed in. It could be your schooling and then the programming about who you should be. But there's a sort of sense here that you've almost jumped into the dreaming before really fully processing why something is now over for you. So it's taking you back to that as okay, you don't have to do this yet until you consider this, but it's almost like you've got to do a second round of this then fairly quickly and decide who you're going to be. So it's an interesting energy about knowing yourself, I think, and deciding how you're going to define yourself. That's what we're talking about here. So let's see what tarot can tell us. We're going to look more just in general about this process. We're going to have a look at how others are impacting it, and we're going to look at a surprise within it for you beyond kind of the surprise of I don't want to become anything set and concrete yet. I'm just going to move those up a bit so that we've got plenty of room for the tarot. So a little bit more about this transformative process for you, pile one. Five of Pentacles reversed. The Tower here, it's big. Like this. It's been a big shift. Chariot reversed, and you're slowing down now. The Moon reversed. Page of Pentacles. Seven of Swords. Okay. So, my instinct is right. There's something you have felt the wish to connect or to shift your material circumstances in some way. So this is if you were in a relationship that was making you feel lonely and it fell apart. If you were in a workplace or looking for work, it wasn't stable or it wasn't giving you growth. You are reaching out. This is partly about you do actually want to work out what is going to be materially who you are moving forward, and you do want to find your people and not feel alone. But there's a lot of change that's occurred. So there's a shock. You'll know if this is the right reading for you, because there'll have been some aspect in your life which has had a bit of a tower moment. And this is saying you can slow down a bit and explore. You're certainly allowed to do that because there are things that you're meant to bring up. But at some point, you're going to have to commit to that. You've got to be realistic about that. And it is saying that there is something about your past, like people that you worked with, friends that you had before, your family, whatever it is, something material that you are connected to. And that's necessary for that. You've got to be realistic about that too. So it is kind of saying the same thing, but it is saying that you are allowed time to slow this down. There's no ticking clock on this that says you have to rush to that point, but at some point you will have to do it. And it's saying it's actually realistic to be clear, to know all the consequences of it before you do that. And that's why it's almost flicking you back to what was the precipitating event, because that has something to do with what you would carry forward or what you would keep. So it just depends on what's triggered this, but it is the reclamation of who you are after a major change, and not rushing into committing to anything, but recognizing that you're going to have to do that at some point. So what is the impact of others on this? So if that's what's going on within you, what is the impact of others? Three of Wands reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, Five of Swords, Temperance, Queen of Cups. Okay. So in general, others are not going in the same direction as you. There is a parting of the ways. This has got something to do with the parting of the ways. As I say, leaving a workplace, leaving a relationship, leaving a spiritual group, leaving a friendship group. There's some sort of parting of the ways. They're not hurrying to do anything. You're the one who's really kind of moving away. They're staying put. You're the one who's detaching, because you realise that there's no battle. Like you were in battle all the time in this situation, and it's just not worth the battle. There is someone, though, around you who can help you with balance here. There is someone who has an emotional connection with you. Could be a friend, a family member, a lover. It could be anything. But it's coming up like the Queen of Cups. Probably female. Doesn't have to be, though. But it's a very balancing force. And it's interesting because it's the Queen of Cups, and Temperance has water as well. It could even be a spirit guide that's helping you with this process of being in your emotions and so forth, because it feels like it literally is like the fire to the water. This is why I feel this precipitated that, and there's still some ash left over it, because this feels like a fiery energy and a kind of a different views on something. And like the water energy helps you bring this into balance, and therefore work out what is worth. Are there some people from this that are worth still having in your life or not? Are there beliefs from that? Are there things that you have had in terms of skills or experience that you want to carry forward? But it does look like there's someone who will help with that. But most people associated with this are not shifting or transforming. It's you. Okay, so what kind of surprise is within all this for you? Empress reversed. Eight of Cups reversed. Four of Wands. Ace of Cups. Very emotional, this, actually. There's a lot of water. And that was kind of shown there as well too. There is a need for you to nurture yourself. Like I'm just strongly getting, like, does it sound like it's like a rebirth. That's what's surprising about this. Because I'm feeling like the fiery energy is like literally like sperm. And then the water is literally like the womb and ova. It's like you re-mother yourself in a way. This is a very profound change about who you are. And it's hard for you to let go of the emotional stuff from the past. That's actually, it's saying, that's actually what the point of the fire was. It's like the fire and the tower energy, it was dramatic, it was difficult, but it was like it created steam and it released that allowed you to get into a better relationship with others and around what you want emotionally, and to make it more like fire, now warming the water, not sort of like turning it all to steam, but stuff had to evaporate for this to work. So the need was really important for you to move away from something, and as I say, to rebirth yourself. The hardest thing was to let go of the emotional issues, but the outcome is going to be a lot better, a lot better. Okay, so let's use another deck that is alchemical, and it sort of shows kind of like sort of scenarios, energies to use, experiences you might have. And we're going to draw 3 cards just to get a bit more information. And with it, I always roll a dice. Now, the dice, if it comes up with 1 bottle, that means you drink in the energy we're talking about, like it is meant for you and you alone. If you see it as a smashed bottle, that means you have to look at this energy and work out what you take forward and what you don't. And if you get the 2 bottles together, that means this is something you share with others. So the first sort of extra defining energy around this, to give you more of an idea about what the process is for you, is containment. Now that's interesting because we've got the water going into the receptacle there. We've got the Ace of Cups. There's the sense of like there's a lot of emotion and a lot of energy, like containing both the fire and also containing the water. Like it's important to contain both. And eventually it is contained within you. But what are you meant to do with the energy of containment at the moment? You need to look at what you're going to contain and what you don't. What do you keep and what don't you keep? It's very important at the moment. But it's potentially volatile, I would say. Like how you deal with this and the people you're dealing with could be volatile. So you need to contain the energy that to make sure you're keeping what you do need to keep and not being pressured to keep things that are not right for you anymore. The second energy, patience. So you need to have patience. So I feel for you on that. I'm a very impatient person. This is not a process that you need to rush. But in a way, that's good. I actually don't think most of you want to rush it too much because you don't want to make a decision too much. But getting going on it, and there could be pressure from elsewhere, you need to maintain patience. So what are you meant to do with that energy? Share it with others. So if others want a decision from you, you've got to find a way to share the need for you making sure that your first principles are right and you're ready to commit to something. You need to, and if others are being patient and bringing you into balance, then you need to kind of share that energy with them because this is not going to happen quickly. I think the precipitating factor happened quickly, but like to make sure that this is not something you want to resist and you get stuck, to make sure it's something that is actually take shape in the way that you want, you need to take time. And then the third energy is paradox. Okay, so there's something paradoxical about this. There's something, I mean, it is kind of there. It is about something completely new, but it's saying you can't let go of the past completely. So there's some sort of like you are. It's almost, I just sort of got, the concept of the acorn to the oak, like the you rebirthing yourself. Like there is a part of you that can't shift or change, which is the core essence. On the other hand, there is all the kind of stuff that gets attached to us from the world, which can. So it's kind of probably the paradox of like, what can you and can't you change? But what are you meant to do with the energy of paradox? Drink it in. Understand this is part of the point. So it's not going to be a simple thing where it's just obvious what to let go of and it's obvious what to move forward with. There's some amalgamation of both. And you kind of have to deal with the mystery within this. And like being your own, it's a paradox in being your own mother in a way as well. There's a kind of a shift in the norms around this that allows you to then become more of who you are at your pure essence. It's actually like the fundamental thing about free will, in that on one level, people think free will is I can just do whatever I want. But if you are following your will, your true self, then you can only do what is in accordance with that. So it's a paradox. True freedom comes from actually working in accordance with the will, not just doing whatever you want. I think that's kind of got something to do with this for you. Okay, so let's get the astro dice. Let's look at 3 ways in which this could be operating in the world for you. So firstly, we have Pluto in the 9th house in Scorpio. Wow. Yeah, well, there's your scorpionic being in the sap of the moon plant, being in the primordial waters. This is about your beliefs about that, and it's massively transformative. Again, very much a rebirth. Very intense. This whole thing is very intense, so you need to give yourself time to deal with it, but it has a lot to do with belief. What are you going to believe? What beliefs do you carry forward from your past, and what do you let go of? Secondly, we have Neptune in Pisces in the 4th house. What have you absorbed from your family, and do you keep that or not? Is it ideal and good for you, or is it something that has actually taken you in the wrong direction? Pisces it's very emotional, again, very watery, but it tends to absorb everything. It's the last of the signs, and it's in the 4th house, family. What from your family, your bloodline, is worth moving forward with, and what isn't? And thirdly, again in the 4th house, this is a lot to do with family. Sagittarius, freedom from it, moon, emotional freedom from those things too. So it's like, what is worthwhile from the programming, bloodline, beliefs of your family and so forth that you would carry forward? And what do you need to leave behind because you need more freedom to become who you are, particularly emotionally? And moon plant. Okay. So last but not least, if you are transforming you and rebirthing you, which is what this is really about, I wanted to just get a synthesizing message using a different tarot deck. So I want you to choose a number between 1 and 5, and depending upon which number you choose, that will be a synthesizing message for you. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to start to deal out. So number 1 is the Chariot. Number 2 is the 8 of Swords. Number 3 is the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Number 4 is the 3 of Cups reversed. Number 5 is the 8 of Cups. Okay, so if you chose number 1 of all the people who've come to this reading, this is probably going to happen as the quickest. So you do still have to have patience, and you do still need to have time to do this, but it's on a shorter leash, and there's a lot of destiny associated with this. So what I was talking about free will and then your own will, you really need to look into that paradox, because there's something in here about having the freedom to follow your destiny. If you chose number 2, 8 of Swords, there is a belief structure you need to free yourself from for this. Could be a belief structure from your family or from a workplace you're in or from friendship, from your education. Could be just that you don't believe that you can shift or change enough, or if the Tower moment was shocking and difficult enough, you may not believe that you have options and you're kind of stuck or trapped. But this is showing that you can shift. Once you shift within, you can shift everything. If you chose number 3 with Ace of Pentacles reverse, there's something very material you're birthing with this. It's probably the closest to the you're rebirthing yourself of all the people who've come to this reading. If you chose number 4, there could be some real disagreements with others, or it could have come from being, like kind of kept out of a clique, isolated in some way. There's something like that around this, and this is you finding your own path apart from what those other people believe. If you chose number 5, you do need to let go of something emotional. There's something emotional in all of this that's no longer serving you, and that's a very important thing to dissolve or burn out at some point in the process. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope it was helpful. It's pretty big, but it's also, I think, more in your control than you possibly think, or that you'll be thinking if you think you're being rushed. It's probably number 1 most that has to deal with that particular paradox. But otherwise, I think it is positive. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome pile 2 to your reading. So you came to the reading with Fog, and I have to say, looking at Fog and the other cards here, it feels really shamanic, or certainly this is very profound spiritually, and I don't think by and large it's playing out all that much in the material world. I mean, we will see with tarot to what degree it's happening, but this is getting to the core of the mystery in a way, and the core of who you are, and shedding karmic sort of energy, understanding karmic energy, being in the great work, like kind of personifying the great work. But it's not easy. I'm going to say right now, this is not an easy process. So those of you who come here, be ready, because there is even the easiest card is the one you'll resist in a way, which is interesting. I think in one of the other readings, I had a sense a tower moment precipitated the reading, and then they were going into a process of exploring themselves. For you, this is like being right in the core of that, or a visit to the underworld, or Persephone going down to be with Hades. It's that kind of energy, I have to say. It's coming from a confusion on things not being clear. And the more that they become clear, the more they become opaque as well. It's an interesting energy. But then it's almost like you get accustomed to that because there's a sort of a power and a potentiality in it, which is part of what's meant to come out of this. But as a result, it can be sometimes hard, or you resist the light drawing you back up. It's so deep. It's dwelling with the dragon. It's dwelling in the underworld. It's like it's profound, but it's hard. So let me just walk through the steps. This is the initiating phase. This is the first step. This is what you resist, and this is the potentially surprising outcome of this stage of your alchemizing. So with the fog, this is saying that you are in a situation where nothing is clear. So it's like literally being in a fog. So whether it's come from something very material like a relationship or a career decision or something, or whether it's just spiritually, you've hit a bit of a wall and you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to do next. I don't know what I need to do next. It could be any of those things. But it really, really is unclear. And the card talks about sometimes heat will, if you're prepared to stand the heat, get in the kitchen, so to speak, deal with the issue, then that may clear it up quicker than anything else because heat will clear the fog. Otherwise, just time itself does it. I suspect that most of you will opt towards heat because I feel like you go right to the core of it. You are people who do that. You have actually a very strong internal power, I have to say, but there is something about you that is, it's kind of really stoic. It sort of has this sort of sense of I am my own master. I have the abilities. I can withstand all. And a lot of ways it's true. I'm not sort of saying that you're sort of having hubris here. I am creating my destiny. Like it's very high magic in some ways, but as I say, like kind of being done in the underworld. There's a lot of that energy with you, but it's sometimes maybe that you're missing where grace could come in, because that's what I sort of feel is operating here. Because the first step after it clears, if you don't go just with time, but you're going with the heat, like let's turn the heat up, let's get this done. Mortification is that kind of underworld thing. It's where the first sort of thing feels like everything's gone completely dark. Like I put the heat up, I thought I was going to see the sun, but actually I'm in the middle. It's like midnight and I don't see anything and I don't know what to do. And it's hard. It's a hard energy. It's like, as I say, being in the underworld, dealing with all of that, facing all of that. And interestingly, the resistance is sparks of light, which is when the light starts to break through, when you start to see what could happen. It's almost like you resist that, either because you feel you have to go through. I mean, some of you may feel you deserve it too. Like there could be some of you who are being really hard on yourselves and you feel like you screwed up on some level and you just have to go through it. And like, so at first when there's helping hand or grace or something, you push it away. But it's also, I sort of feel like it's like you get so much into the depth that the light is almost blinding, even if it's only a scintilla, even if it's only sparks of light at first. So you have to allow your eyes to adjust and find your way out. Because this is the great working, and this is like being in the Negredo. This is like the really big stuff about who you are and what you've come from and what choices you do and don't have and how it all plays in together. I think you're kind of all at once clearing huge amounts of karma for yourself and maybe others. It's like there's lifetimes being done in this process, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And it maybe even shifts. You may be in almost like I'm almost against spirituality now. I think it's all an illusion. I feel like I'm lost in the dark. I don't know what I'm doing. And then grace comes to get you back onto the path, but you resisted at first. When I see this one, particularly when I see this, I think of the series True Detective, the first True Detective series. There's a character in it, Rust, who is very nihilistic through most of the series. And then right at the end, because of something that occurs, and I don't want to spoiler it. But he effectively kind of looks at the sky and sees the stars as being an indication that the light is cracking through the darkness. Let's put it that way. That's kind of what I feel in this. I feel like there's something has really made you go into the depths, like the real depths, and like even into not even know who you are or what matters or what is real. And this is the climbing back out eventually as well too, to understand it. But at first you almost resist doing that. So yeah, it's powerful. You're powerful people. It would not happen without a very powerful spirit, but it's not easy. So let's see what we get with tarot. So firstly, we're just going to ask a little bit more about this transformative process, and we're going to look at the impact of others on it, and then we're going to look at what secret surprise might be within it. So it's a little bit more about this profound alchemizing that you're going through, pile 2. The Four of Pentacles reversed, the Page of Wands, the Six of Pentacles reversed, the Ace of Wands, Knight of Swords reversed, Death reversed. I think that some of you are naturally, like natural mediums and naturally drawn to the underworld, that kind of energy. Not in a bad way, but like just in dealing with the kind of the power of that. Something's fallen apart with the Four of Pentacles. Something is not, the foundation is no longer there. And and I feel like there is a part of you that wants to very quickly deal with it by burning it out. I feel like this is very much the fog thing. Like something is no longer stable. You want to burn it out to work out what it is. But while you are equal to what happens, you, instead of burning it out, you become the flame and you go down into the darkness here. So it's sort of like you can't use a flame to deal with this. You have to be the flame. And it takes time. And you don't really want to leave. Because I think there's also a thing here that, like, you know, it's like that the karmic cycle is such that you know, it's not that it's like that simple that we're just going to clear all that out and then I don't have to incarnate again. I think you have a sense that you are going to incarnate again, or that generally speaking that's what we do, that we just go round and round and round and round. So it feels like being stuck rather than moving forward. So that's part of it. It's almost like is the sparks of light, is grace a lie? You know, like, is there a part where you're kind of going, I'm comfortable with being the flame down the darkness. I'm comfortable with the stoicism. To believe again is really, really hard because I feel like I'm just going to keep going through this. But in a weird way, it's making it. So I think you would be an amazing shaman, an amazing. I don't know enough about death doulas and so forth, but I just heard that. So maybe like there's sort of something where you're powerful enough to deal with this. And this is partly about learning that, but like not losing your own faith in the process of doing it. So let's see the impact of others on this journey. 10 of Wands, the Hierophant, 10 of Cups, 7 of Pentacles reversed, 5 of Swords reversed. It's mixed. There's a crisis of faith, and other people and the burdens that have been put on you, or the burdens of that, are part of this. Like, it's how other people respond. It's like, it'd be like, you know, you were, I don't know, I'll just think of an example. Like you were a missionary somewhere and you came from a very strong sort of sense of wanting to help others. And then all around you, anything that you try and do, others actually destroy that. And you just sort of feel like it can't be done. This is like losing a religion or losing faith. So there's something about the burdens of others, or what you see others go through, or what others, the stress that they put on beliefs, that I think it's caused a crisis of faith. I think you're having that. There are the right people and there is emotional support for you. And this is probably the grace energy as well too. So it is definitely saying don't shut yourself out completely from others, because there are people who care for you. But if they're not prepared to grow as well, even if you care about them, if they're not prepared to grow as well, then you know, it's an issue about working on what you do and don't give up on, because there's certainly some stuff not to give up on. So in fact, what this could be saying is, if you have a crisis of faith around your spiritual path, around the people that you're with, around a relationship, deciding whether something won't grow, it's where the burden is too much, and where it's worth holding on to is where the emotion is actually nourishing. You have to believe that the Ten of Cups is okay. You have, is possible. You have to believe the sparks of light are real, because otherwise you'll just stay down here, And so that's the thing, and it's part of a journey. You're not meant to just stay down there. Okay, so what would surprise you in this journey? The Emperor, the Four of Swords, the Two of Wands reversed, the Knight of Cups. Okay. Your own power would surprise you. You, in fact, are a little bit frightened of it. And so in a weird way, this is also like by going down and being in that and not being in the world and all that kind of thing, you're kind of like almost trying to contain your own power. But the power that you find in this meditative state will also surprise you. But what will also surprise you is you cannot just, this is important, you're not going to be able to make the decision about the next step on your own. There needs to be some sort of gift to you, whether it's grace, whether it's sort of somebody who, comes in the Ten of Cups energy that cares and wants to, Persephone can't just leave the underworld until Demeter comes and actually does the bargain and helps her out. There is something about, you have to accept grace, you have to accept love, you have to accept caring. You're not going to be able to move or make decisions without that. You have enormous power, but that shouldn't be isolating you to this degree. Pole 2. Wow. Okay. So there's another alchemy deck that I use, which has different sort of almost psychological and spiritual states. We're going to draw 3 cards from it. This particular deck also has a dice. So if it rolls to have 1 cup or 1 receptacle, you're meant to drink in the energy of the thing. If it's a broken one, you're meant to smash it down and work out what is worth keeping and what isn't. And if it has 2, you're meant to share this with someone else or with other people in general. So what are some other energies around this? Patience. So you need patience, probably. Though too much patience gets you stuck down there. You're going to have to be keeping a lookout for the shards of light that you're going to resist at first. What are you meant to do with patience? Drink it in. Okay, you are meant to understand it, but drinking it in is also knowing at what sort of speed and for how long. But this is not a short process. Secondly, we have progress. So it may feel like you're stuck and you're not going anywhere, but progress is there. And probably the thing that you resist is a sign when it's coming in. What are you meant to do with progress? Drink that in. Accept it. Believe it. As I say, there's a crisis of faith operating here. And it's ironic because you are so powerful. Okay, what's the third element? Imitate. Okay. So sometimes when we're stuck or we don't know what to do, it's like when in Rome, do what the Romans do. There's that kind of sense of like fake it till you make it or something. If there's a sort of sense of like I feel stuck, I don't know what to do, I don't know what my next step is, imitate those that you admire or that kind of thing. But what is it saying about imitation? Okay, so it's saying smash it open and look at it. So when is it right for you to imitate others and follow what others are doing, and when isn't it? So it's a bit of both. But if you need it to just be able to take a step because you're feeling blind, then that's fine. But not if it starts to define you, because you're meant to be yourself, and grace will come if you allow it. Okay, we're going to use the Astro dice. We're going to roll it 3 times to see aspects in your life that this is impacting and how. So firstly, we have Uranus, which doesn't surprise me. Major change. Sagittarius, freedom, philosophy in the 10th house. So this may have been triggered by some major change around your workplace or who you are in the world. It's certainly meant to free some of that up. So again, like sometimes the thing that defines us is the thing that we felt we lost and we reclaim in a different way. Secondly, we have the South Node, so what you're moving away from. Pisces, all the sort of emotion in the 1st house. You're moving away from identifying with other people, actually, because Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac, so it kind of absorbs all the signs. So if you're moving away from that to be who you are, This is also maybe why you resist this, but I don't feel like that the shards of light are other people that you have to imitate. And that's probably what this is saying. It's more that those that are the right people and the right connections to help you. But because you've been maybe caught in a situation where you had to absorb so much stuff from other people, so much of their beliefs, so much of their demands, you kind of resist this at first. And then we get Mars, so action in Libra, balanced and fair action in the 8th house. So using your power in a very fair and balanced way, but using it to act. And it's also using that fiery energy in a way that is fair and balanced and takes you to the depths and allows you to act within the depths in a balanced way. So there's a very big going into the underworld feeling about this, I have to say. Okay, so that's heavy. What we're going to do, I think it's got a lot of promise and you're very powerful people, but I don't really envy you this, I have to say. I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5, because depending upon which number you choose, that will be a synthesizing message from another tarot deck. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So number 1, the Hermit. Number 2, disconnect. Number 3, strength. Number 4, the Emperor reversed. Number 5, the Seven of Swords. Gee, nearly all those. I was wondering if every single one of them was going to be a major arcana. Okay. Number 1, the Hermit. This is a very spiritual thing. It's very introspective. It's not particularly in the world. It will bring illumination, but don't isolate yourself too much and don't box yourself in. See all the sort of water around here? You need to connect with others. You need to have a bit more fluidity. You can box yourself into this. If you chose number 2, this is a way that you disconnect. In fact, you might think, I know this process and it's okay. And I know I always resist coming out of it, but this is the way I disconnect. That's fine if that's the case. Otherwise, be careful that you don't disconnect too much, because the light's trying to come in from the TV too. It's not necessarily a problem. If you chose number 3, your strength is the reason this is happening. Believe in your strength. You're different. See the zebra stripes? You are different. And it's like, so you going into the underworld is very different to someone else. You have the strength to do that. Chose number 4, this has to do with the right use of power in some way and where it isn't happening. So it may be asking you to consider that, like whether you use your power appropriately. It may also be having to give up some of your power to accept that you do need grace and the help of others. Or it could have been in response to the illegitimate use of power, spiritually or otherwise, by others. If you chose number 5, 7 of Swords, there's something to negotiate here. I think it's sort of like, and your mind needs to understand this and accept it. So if you already have a framework when you're trying to find your way, you have a framework that says at some point on this path, grace will come, then your mind has already prepared you for it. If you don't believe that, then you won't see it for what it is. So I hope that resonates for you. It's pretty deep. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the one with Neptune. I've got to say, looking at these 4 cards, this alchemical process is preparing you for some sort of destiny, fate, or mission. And it's not the easiest path, but it's sort of like one half of the heart and caring and the other half of realizing the stakes, I think, and that there is the bitter with the sweet and so forth. The reason I say that is that this is the initiating energy. This is the first experience. This is what you resist, and this is what comes somewhat surprisingly sometimes. Neptune is all about the path of the mystic. It is a planet that it's about, spiritual and psychic sort of energy, but it is within this the energy of the mystic, the spiritual seeker, all of that kind of thing. So this has to do with your spiritual journey and getting clarity on it, because Neptune sometimes needs clarity. But one of the messages of this, which makes a lot of sense when you're heading towards the Raven's Head, is this is saying that your spiritual development and your spiritual path is not just about you. There's something bigger being brewed up here, I have to say. And it connects, I think, very much with this earth and with nature and with, I guess, almost like, for some of you, it could be connected to the future of the planet and socially or politically or something like that, as well as spiritually. But it's a very powerful energy that is beyond just you, but it is still your journey. It's your spiritual journey. The earth's heart is like going to the center of the earth to find the heart, to find the beating heart within. It connects to the heart chakra as well, but it does connect you very much to the material and to the implications materially and the more worldwide implications. So this group is connected to things whether very directly and visibly or whether behind the scenes with things that matter to the world in some way and the heart of the world. Your spiritual journey has a practical political, social kind of aspect to it. It's not just an internal journey for one reason or another. And of course, because of that, you would want to stay in the heart, in the Neptunian sort of like dreamy sort of energy and the heart energy. But in fact, when you are being drawn to some sort of destiny and you're being drawn to something that also has to have a material outcome, you have to take the bitter with the sweet. The oil of vitriol is all about that. It is about what needs to be transformed, the power of transformation. And is that sort of something that is you consume, you take in and you process, or are you consumed by it? So I think that your resistance is about getting that in balance, to be consumed to some degree by it in the sense of I can deal with the bitter and the sweet along with this as long as I know that I'm heading towards what the heart's purpose is and what I'm meant to do. But equally, I need to consume that which is bitter and so forth to be able to do that. And there's a resistance there because it's not a pleasant thing. And either way, it's kind of like it would be much nicer to just stay in the contemplation, but there's some sense of action and change and shift that has to occur. And that's because I've got the raven's head. The raven, this is when there's some sort of a mission and the raven wants you to do it. It has a sort of sense of destiny about it. It's calling for you and it really doesn't care if you want to do it or not. You're going to do it because the raven's chosen you. So you've been chosen in some form for something. And I think it's about your spiritual progress on a more material level, but also coming from the heart. But it does require that capacity to deal with that which is bitter and sweet, that which is light and dark, all of those kind of things. So we're looking at sort of something that takes you outside of yourself. Just as this said, it's bigger than you, but you are the only one that can do it. So that's the energy that we're looking at here. So let's have a look with tarot. Let's firstly ask a bit more about this journey. Then we're going to ask about the impact of other people on it. And then we're going to ask about what is surprising in it. So a little bit more about this journey, I think, this spiritual journey that you've been chosen for. Temperance, Strength reversed, Page of Swords, Five of Pentacles reversed, the Star, the High Priestess reversed. One of the very clear things this is saying that makes a lot of sense with this is not just an internal journey. You are going to be called upon to connect with others and to come out about what you believe. The High Priestess reversed here. You may even feel sometimes it's supposed to be a spiritual journey, but it feels much more pragmatic and almost scientific or legalistic or something like that. And so it may not even feel that spiritual, though it will be with temperance there. It's nicely balanced, like you have the balance that's necessary, but sometimes you may feel that you're disconnecting from your spiritual call because of what's going on. But otherwise, you're meant to show this in the world. It's not meant to be hidden. It's like revealing secrets to the world, connecting people, helping people have a direction that is positive and of the heart. It is asking you to get this in balance. Right now, you're being asked, when you are looking at your mission, thinking about it, and connecting to your heart, it's asking you to understand what it is that you're being required to do, because at the moment you would not necessarily think you were strong enough, or you wouldn't have been thinking about the strengths that you need to do. And there's a side of you that doesn't really want to articulate it, but you're going to have to. So it is also asking you to start to think about how to build your strengths of communication, because your connection and communication with others is very important to this. You do have the strengths, but you haven't really thought about them. It's more like spirituality is a private matter to you. This is not going to remain private. And there could be feedback sometimes that's bitter or unfair. If you do spiritual work, if you did something like a YouTube channel, you're going to get comments that are nasty sometimes, even when it's from people who claim to be spiritual. It does happen. So just be aware that you've got to take that with the good so that you can actually do what you're meant to do. So what's the impact of other people? Because other people have a lot to do with what we deal with, bitter and sweet in the world. Eight of Cups reversed, King of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands reversed, Six of Pentacles. Well, you're going to get help, actually. And particularly to whatever degree this has some material outcome around, an organisation or a political or social thing or whatever, there are people who will resource you. If you start to do this and they see that you have the strength to do this, you're coming from the right place, they will resource you. You are going to have help. Material help will come to you to be able to do this. So if you're worried about that, if you think, well, I can't really focus on this because I've got to, keep a roof over my head or whatever, how am I going to pay the bills? There's going to be some sort of material thing that will help you move forward, definitely. But there's also ego issues. There's petty ego issues, and there's some people who cannot let go of an emotional grievance. So it does sort of feel like it's something in a social or political sort of realm, and you've got to deal with egos and victim mentality or whatever. But there are some very solid people who will see where you're coming from, have similar sort of values, and some of them are very well resourced and will help you. Okay, so what is surprising beyond possibly that when you need the resourcing and the support, it's going to be there for you? What could be surprising? Eight of Swords reversed. Five of Wands reversed. This is good. Nine of Wands. The Hermit reversed. How much you come out into the world and how much this is a material and non-spiritual thing in the way that it is presented is going to surprise you. It is still a spiritual thing, but you're going to surprise yourself with that. What is also going to surprise you is that when you think you don't have the energy or the resources, you're going to find you get it like a second wind or the support of others. And freeing people's mind and freeing people from some of the kind of bitterer sort of like conflicts is going to be easier than you expect. You are the right person for this. That's the point. That's why you've been chosen. So it's like, and the resources will come to you and you will find the way around. You're actually quite a natural negotiator and mediator. You'll find a way to deal with that, but you're going to be much more out in the world than you expect. Pile 3. Okay. There's a second alchemy deck. I'm going to draw 3 cards from it that shows sort of like other energies or approaches, and they also have a dice. So if when I roll the dice you get two bottles, you share this energy with others. If it's a smash bottle, you smash it open and look at what's worth it and that energy, and if it's a single bottle, you drink it in because it's important. So let's see what else we can do to describe this alchemical process. Inevitable. Yes, it's inevitable. You can't avoid this. You can't avoid this, whatever it is. Okay, it's fate. So what about that do you need to do? Share it with others. Okay, yeah, if it's inevitable that you have to do this, find your people, because there are people who will support you. And ask for help and so forth. Wow, okay. Second energy around it. Alchemy, luck will come. Yeah, money is going to come. Like this is going to, like if you'd sort of question whether you'd be able to sort of earn a living while doing this, you will be able to. Like it is actually really good around manifestation. The energy around alchemy, luck. Have a look at what you want. Okay, there is going to be a lot of opportunities financially with this. It may be look at what ones are properly aligned with your values and take those and don't take the others. And like remember that this is bigger than just about you. Okay, and then a third energy around it. Memory. Okay, there's something, you've done something like this before. It could be in a past life. It could be something else in this life. Or your memory of things may be important in some way. What is it saying about that? Drink it in. Okay, yeah, there are things about this which your memory is going to help, which is going to give you sort of the light and the darkness to be able to decide what to do. Also, I think when you're going through the bitter things, remembering you've got through this before, I'm hearing Marcus Aurelius saying this too shall pass. That is the energy that's there as well. When you look back, you'll see why you're the right person for this. Okay, let's use the Astro dice. We'll roll it 3 times and we'll just see some other ways this is manifesting in your life at the moment. Okay. So Mars, action. Yeah, action. There's a lot of action energy here in Capricorn, in the powers of the world, material things, 7th house, and the connections you make. You're going to connect with some powerful people, I would say. You may be a powerful person, and that's one of the reasons why this is happening. But there is a very material powers of the world energy and relationships with that. That's where the action, where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. Secondly, we have Neptune in Virgo in the 4th house. Things about who you are at home, who your core essence is, but also maybe your family. There's some integration of spiritual ability here. So I think you probably have picked up some deep spiritual approaches and spiritual gifts from your family. The interesting thing, though, is it's very integrated in you. You may not even realize that some of what you're doing is spiritual. When you have Virgo, so Neptune, the moon, things like that around Virgo, it's very psychic, but it's very integrated. So you might just think, I just have, the ideas come to me, and you don't realize that they're actually downloads and that kind of thing. But there's something in your family. You could probably work out, something in your bloodline or something like that. And then thirdly, we have Pluto in the 12th house. Wow, in Virgo again. This is the integration of power as well. And this is like getting right to the core of things with the 12th house. It feels very private, but it's very transformative. And it's an integration you do in yourself. Like you almost do this first and then you're out in the world. Very, very powerful though. This energy is about power in the material world, definitely. Okay. So last but not least, I'm just going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5. I'm going to use a second tarot deck, and depending upon what number you choose, that will be your synthesizing message. Pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, we have Knight of Wands reverse. For number 2, we have Knight of Swords reverse. For number 3, we have Justice reverse. For number 4, we have the High Priestess. For number 5, we have Nine of Cups. Okay. 1 and 2 are quite similar here. In both of them, if you chose number 1, Knight of Wands, you may want to rush forward with this, but you're going to have to take it step by step. You're also maybe going to be dealing with people who won't budge, who don't want to move. If you felt that to do this, you would have to move home or something like that, you won't have to. So you don't necessarily have to move like your location and that kind of thing, but you may find you can't go as fast as you want with others. Not dissimilarly with Knight of Swords reverse for number 2, changing the thoughts of others is going to be a little bit slower than you want. And you may find that you have to slow down your thinking a bit to make sure that you understand all the implications of things. If you chose number 3, this really has a social political aspect to it. I think you are here to actually right some wrongs and to identify and shift through injustice in one form or another. If you chose number 4, it's probably more spiritual than material, but it will have a spiritual aspect. You may, in fact, in that level, become a seer or a prophet or some other sort of spiritual support for powerful people if you're not actually having to do it. So I think number 3, you're kind of doing it and you're in the world doing it. Number 4, you may be helping others through your spiritual gifts. If you chose number 5 with the 9 of Cups, this ultimately will be a dream fulfilled for you. You can achieve the dream, whatever it is. So don't forget that when you're going through the resistance energy with what is bittersweet. In the end, it's going to be more sweet than bitter. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.